listen, you Drag Race bigots. I'm talking to all of you Drag Race bigots who come underneath my comments with all of this vitriolic nonsense because I don't agree with ROXXY winning. I said what I said and I meant what I said. ROXXY did not deserve to win. And if that hurts your feelings, good. Okay? Get over it. You guys, these people on YouTube are upset with the doll because I feel like Angeria should have won. And Angeria did win, right? Now, I, in my opinion, have had some pretty solid critiques of ROXXY. I felt like her makeup was washed out. I felt like her hair just was too understated. ROXXY is a big girl, and big girls need big hair, okay? And she was trying to do this, bank teller hair, this, daytime running to the grocery store, I'm about to do a couple of loads of laundry at the laundromat hair, and it wasn't it, okay? It wasn't it. ROXXY needed more. And it's because of people like you who, are just so caught up in the haze and the fandom that you can't be honest with yourself or honest with your favorite. Let me tell you guys something. There are a lot of celebrities that I like, right? But when you find yourself agreeing with 100% of everything that someone does, that's a problem. When you lose objectivity, when you can't step outside of yourself and say, okay, well, I still like this person, but that's not getting, okay? Like, case in point. One of my favorite entertainers of all time is Janet Jackson, okay? Love Janet. Do I agree with everything that Janet has done? Like this new concert she has on this big coat and she walks out and I'm like, Janet, what are you doing in a coat in the middle of July, girl? Like, what is that? Take that mess off, Janet. Like, no. And that's me who loves Janet but still able to give a critique from the perspective of a fan. Like, I enjoy Janet, but I'm not so enamored with Janet that I lose objectivity. The coat looked crazy to me. But not too much on Janet. But I'm just using that to illustrate a point. So you guys just saw the picture of ROXXY. You see what I'm talking about. She looked crazy. She looked washed out. The hair was not doing what the hair needed to do. And beyond that, we also saw the Reddit post of the staff backstage who were talking about the girls who were problematic, peeing in cups and all sorts of other disgusting things. And they made it a point to mention Shanell, Nina, and Angeria as the girls who were not the problem. Yes, I needed you to understand. They mentioned Angeria, Nina, and Shanell as the girls who were not the problem. And I don't understand why you people don't understand that likability goes a long way in whatever career path you choose. At the end of the day and at the beginning of the goddamn day, people want to work with people that they actually enjoy being around. And you could be the greatest performer, but if your attitude sucks, no one wants to be around that. We'd rather take someone who may be, a couple of rungs down in terms of, their overall performance or presentation, but is a really nice person than to have, the cream of the crop, if you will. And that's not even like ROXXY was the cream of the crop. I just showed you that picture. I just showed you. Now, let me also say this, right, in the interest of fairness. I'm not up here to say that Angeria was, 10s across the board. There were definitely moments this season I'm like, Angeria, girl, what are you doing? Do you hear this, right? This is me being objective, right? This is me not drinking Angeria Kool-Aid. But overall, by and large, I definitely thought that Angeria put up one of the most solid shows of this season. Hands down. Hands down. This whole, I need a hero number that ROXXY did. And people are calling her a lip sync assassin. I'm sorry, I missed the assassination. I didn't see it. I thought ROXXY was decent as a performer. I thought ROXXY had some flashes as a performer. But I didn't see these tour de force performances that everyone is trying to make it out that ROXXY was just like killing it. That I didn't see these costumes from ROXXY, these runways that were just next level. The crown for runway, hands down this season, goes to Plastique. Okay? Plastique murdered the runway every single time. ROXXY didn't come close to Plastique. And Angeria's runways were better than ROXXY's. Right underneath Plastique would have been Gottmik. Gottmik had a clear point of view every single time she hit the runway. The runways were solid, but Gottmik cannot lip sync if her life depended on it. And if you can't be objective enough to see that, then why are we even having this conversation? Go away! If you can't see that Gottmik can't lip sync, I don't know what to say. But I will say, when I watched the talent show, if I'm going to be honest with you guys and rank them according to who I thought was the best in the talent show, number 3 for me would be Nina West. And I know that may come as a shock to you guys. I'm going to tell you why I like Nina West. I thought Nina West took this opportunity to make a very poignant political statement. She used her drag to move the cause forward, and I appreciated that about it. And I love that it had a point of view and it had a message. Drag is for everyone. All of this nonsense that you're hearing about, you know, drag queen book readings and this, that, and the third, it's nonsense. Don't buy into it. Drag is for everyone. And so for that reason, I love the messaging in Nina's. And so I give Nina number 3 in the talent show. Okay? Number 2, I give to Angeria. Not number 1, I give Angeria number 2. And the reason I give Angeria number 2 is because Angeria colored outside of the line. She didn't do what was predictable. I don't understand what you guys don't understand when I keep on trying to tell you that this, you know, runway, give me my 10s, a chop, 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 da 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 da. We have seen that a cajillion times. We saw Vanjie do it, we saw Plastique do it, and we also saw your girl Georges do it. And I'm not here to say that their performances were terrible. I'm just saying that they were all 3 doing essentially the same thing. Angeria's stood out because it was glamorous, it was elegant, and it had a touch of whimsy and humor to it. When she says, "Don't I look rich? You ugly bitch." Like, it had some humor. It had a sense of humor. It didn't take itself too seriously. And so that's why I give Angeria number 2. Now, number one in the talent show, in my opinion, was Shanell. And I don't hear you guys flipping out about Shanell. Shanell murdered that talent show. I'm sorry. Her talent was completely original. It was a complete deviation from everything that we always see, which is a song or a lip sync, a dance, whatever. She juggled. She juggled with the pins, the bowling pins. She also juggled with some sort of knives. And then she balanced some sort of crate on her mouth or nose. I can't remember which one it was. But, oh, I'm here for that. Because that is outside of the norm. That is atypical of what we see. And I feel like if anyone was robbed in a talent show, it was Shanell. ROXXY's number was boring to me. The makeup was just too dark. It just didn't really go anywhere. I wasn't moved by it. You know, Georges, I loved when she did the spin and the slide across the floor. I felt like the hair was too big for her. In my opinion, it was just too much hair for Georges. Georges is a little girl. It looked like she had an lion's mane at that point. And so just like I was telling you guys earlier, that scale is very important when you're doing drag. You have to know your scale so you can balance those scales. Proportions are very important. And Georges' hair, in my opinion, was too big. The costume didn't look properly fitted. There were just some things about it that were slightly off. With me looking with my very critical eye. Go back and look at it and you'll see what I'm talking about. Watch how big the hair is. It almost looks like when she's doing the hair flip that she's struggling with it, trying to get it out of her face. She didn't struggle with it to the point that it was debilitating, but I definitely could see that it was too much for her frame. So like I was saying, just like I say that ROXXY's hair was too little, Georges' hair was too big. Okay, girl, just dial it back a little bit. So that's why when it comes to the talent show, for me, it would have been Nina, Angeria, and Shanell. Plastique's opening was fantastic. I love when they ripped the 2 arms off. The costume was like, I was here for that. But once she started, it was more of, watch me walk, watch me this. I'm so tense across the board. I just can't take much more of that. I just can't take much more of that. Like, I need someone to come in and, you know, give me a new version of that. Because it's just, how many times are we going to do the same thing? At the end, she had the Austin Powers moment where the bra explodes and she roasts marshmallows, you know, which was kind of gimmicky. It was cute, but it didn't necessarily take away that I wasn't impressed. Looks like she spent a lot of money. But it still didn't really necessarily have the impact that I wanted it to have. And she didn't win a lip sync the entire season. She didn't win a lip sync. So when you start to do the math and you break it down and you look at Angeria being a nice person, when you look at Angeria's showing on this season, when it comes to runway, her runways for the most part were not the best, but far from the worst, okay? Her performances and the challenges were not the best, but far from the worst. And the fact that the staff has made it a point to say that Angeria was not a problem, Nina was not a problem, and Shanell was not a problem, out of all 3 of the girls that were not a problem, Angeria had the best showing out of those 3. RuPaul has a reason for why RuPaul chose Angeria. And a lot of you guys need to get over what you just see in front of the camera and understand that there are things happening backstage that you are not privy to. Your reputation matters. So anyway, be mad, be upset. It doesn't change the outcome. Angeria is still that girl. She won the crown. And if you're going to be mad at somebody not winning or not getting placed, be mad that Shanell didn't get placed. Because Shanell is actually, I'll see you in the next video.